Yeah, we're live. Camshaft and all. This is actually you can tell, you can kind of see, you can see down here kind of telltale signs of what the base circle is. This is an LS cam, definitely an LS cam. You can see, you might be able to see the grind numbers on there. I'm going to go over all that though. You can see if you can kind of see that. It's a big boy cam though. So I'll go ahead and read the specs off. This is a comp, it's a custom grind that they did. It is an 1839 intake lobe, which is, I wrote the stuff down. It is a 460 lobe lift. So you can multiply that by whatever rocker ratio you want. So for instance, on a 1.7, on a 1.7 rocker, that's 782 lift. So it's pretty good size. It is a 450 exhaust lift, lobe lift on the exhaust. It has 274 degrees of duration at 50. So it's a good size cam. It's more than your average. It's obviously not going to fit stock piston to valve clearance. It has 286 degrees at 50 on the on the exhaust side. It has some pretty big numbers at 200, so it's got some fairly aggressive ramp rates. For instance, and guys that have camshafts will know what these numbers are. At 200, it has 192 degrees on the or 192 lift on the no, that's right. Yeah, it's 192 on the intake. Oh, yeah, there we go. And 198. I was getting confused here. 198 on the exhaust. It has 113 degree lobe separation angle because it's got an R113, which I'm assuming is 113. I just had to look up the specs on it. So it's a good sized roller cam. So if somebody's building something that they want to make a lot of power with, again, solid roller, not hydraulic roller. Although I have seen guys use hydraulic rollers on solid rollers. I don't know that I would do this on this camshaft. I don't know what the base circle is, but on a solid roller, you're going to have to adjust the, most people would run an adjustable rocker on it anyway, and then you're going to have to adjust the push rod length anyway. And because it's going to be a solid roller, you know, none of the factory length stuff is going to work anyway. So you're going to, all of that is going to be custom. So if somebody's looking for that, I think we should have a, can't buy that off the shelf. Yeah, it's a big truck cam. That's like a stage 18 truck cam, I think, probably. So it's a Truck Norris Plus. So it's pretty good size. Yeah, 192 and 198 direction. So they're pretty good. Let's see, what are the other load profiles that were on here? Drag race roller and a, what is the other one? What's the 1839? They're both different. They're different load profiles though. But pretty good size. So if anybody's interested in that, please let me know. I will. It is at least a 3/4 race cam. Yes, definitely. Tonight we're going to talk about that. So if anybody's interested in the camshaft, let me know. I'll put my email address up here. 8.1. That's a big cam even for an 8.1. That's kind of the camshaft that we put in big blocks, 496s and 540s and stuff. A 274, 280. What did I say? 286? Yeah, 274, 286 would be a good size camshaft. That's kind of the that's about the camshaft that we put in. That's actually a little bit bigger than the camshaft that I put in the Dart 540 motor, the low compression Dart 540 motor that thing ended up making mid 800s at fairly low compression with the tunnel ram and the Dart Pro 1 335 heads on it. So it's good size for an LS. You should be able to make some pretty decent power. What are the best applications for different cam specs? Did you dyno the cam? I haven't ever run this cam. This is a cam was given to me, so I don't know anything about it. The cam's brand new. It's never been run. So I don't know that anybody ever ran this camshaft. I didn't Craze Performance. I think maybe we'll do a little auction or something on the camshaft. But if you're interested in, I'm going to put my email address down here. rb16@aol.com. So we don't do an auction here in just a few minutes, then you can just send me something if you're interested. And it's just laying around. I'm never going to use it, so I'll sell it to somebody. Big cubes. Larry, no, camshafts tame or displacement tames camshaft. They need more camshaft to run at the same RPM. Looking for JPL, looking forward to getting the heads. Yep, I know I need to go down and I'm going to be leaving probably tomorrow to go down there. And I got some more information from Turbo Monza on the heads. They did a valve job. It's looking like we're probably going to have to go with bigger valves in those heads to get the numbers up. So that will be interesting. I think that he's going to try that next. Hey, we're still around. I have a dish 6-liter piston. If you have a stock dish 6-liter piston, that won't do anything. It needs to have a dish piston and a really big valve relief for that camshaft. And then we're also going to do an update on the Nova, and unfortunately, it's bad news. I'm going to give the Nova away, but it's not going to be running. It won't be finished, and it has to happen like at the end of this month or the beginning of May. I'm going to be moving, and there's no place for the Nova, so I have to give it away. There's no way for me to get it done in time for that, so I'm going to have to give it away with all of the stuff that goes with it. And so we have two options basically, and this will be the poll for tonight. So I have two options. One, I can give it away to one of the viewers, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards, and I would give it away with the. I don't think I'm going to go the 350 route. I think what I would give it away with is the 4.8 liter that I was down there last time with that had problems with one of the lifters and one of the valves. I'm going to fix that motor and get it running and make sure that it runs, and then I will provide that motor with the Nova. Somebody else is going to have to put it in and make it work. And then all the other things. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. There's a bunch of suspension stuff. There's I think 2 radiators. There's fans. There's lots of stuff that goes along with it. So anybody that gets it is going to be happy with. It's obviously, I've showed you before. It has rust holes in the floors and all that stuff. It does have some interior stuff. It has the 2 bucket seats. It has the rear seats. There's some other things that go with it. So it's got a bunch of stuff in the trunk, all the stuff that I took out of it. It has the brakes seem to work. I put headlights in it. So it has a few things, but mostly what I want to give it to, here are the two options. I want to give it away to one of the viewers, but I want to give it away to somebody that will get it running immediately. So like when we do the giveaway for it, if we do a giveaway to the viewers, I want to give it away to somebody that would get it running in less than a month. So if you're that guy, when I announce the giveaway, that will be the criteria. You have to take the car, get the engine in it, get it running, and do like a burnout video in less than 30 days. If you think you can do that, then I'm all for it. If you can't do that, then you're not the guy. So that will be very important. The other option, and I wanted to let you know, and that will be the poll for tonight. So the poll for tonight will be, should the Nova be given to Calvin Nivlak, Calvin 4200 fame? Should be given to Calvin and his dad. Dad to swap in a turbo 4200. So that the option one is that I give it away to one of the viewers with the 4.8, and you guys get it running, whoever I give it to, and then we'll choose somebody at random. The other option is have Calvin come and get it and put some kind of turbo 4200 in. It was originally a 6-cylinder car, so it'd still be a 6-cylinder car, which would be kind of cool. And then he can have the car. Obviously, he's going to do that work to it. And then, but also we would be able to do some videos together on it, so which would be kind of cool. So you guys let me know. What do you think that the boosted lifestyle? Okay, you guys can throw in whatever kind of suggestions that you want. But here's the poll for tonight. Should the note be given away to Calvin and his dad to swap in a turbo 4200, Atlas? We'll put Atlas. Atlas. And I haven't even talked to Calvin about this, so he may not even want it. But this is another option, so we'll pick that out. So New York is too far. And the other thing is, when I do give it away, if I give it away to a viewer, the car's in California, so you have to come get it, and it cannot sit here for a period of time. It's going to go away, and it's going to go away to somebody in this time period. So if I call your name and you win it, and you live on the East Coast and you don't make it out here, it's not going to be here. It's going to go to somebody else. So I just want to let you guys know. Boosted Lifestyle has your vote. I'm not the guy. I'd love to have the Nova. How do we enter the giveaway? I'll announce the giveaway when we decide which way we're going. I want the Nova. I'll come. 1 liter Mafia. Nice. Is it Sprint turbo stuff? JPL. I got bigger valves. That's why I got my intense stage 3 heads. 190. So JPL, will the 190 and 157 if you have both of those, will they fit without hitting each other? Turbo Monza was wondering about that, if the 157 and the 190 together would work. He didn't know. Body Shop Solutions, I'll take it and restore it. This would be a lot of work. But it would be cool to see it restored. I'd like to see it done as a Yanko clone, if that would be kind of cool. Yeah, New York is pretty far from, that's all the way on the other side. That would be bad if I picked somebody and they didn't come pick it up. I couldn't get it running in 5 years, so I'll give it to Calvin. Oh no, your JPL, your heads are still down there. They're good. I did not hear what the cam specs are. The cam specs are, it is a 460 lobe lift on the intake and a 450 lobe lift on the exhaust. It's 274 degrees of duration on the intake and 286 degrees of duration on the exhaust, 113 LSA. It's a solid roller, so it's going to be mid 700s on the lift with a 1.7 rocker. So it's a solid roller cam. Calvin is the 4200 Atlas guy. He also has a pretty fast turbo LS, though. Richard, 5.3 boosted ring gap, 30,000s top, and yeah, both of the rings, we do both of them the same. Anywhere from 28 to 30 will work. JPL, they work in my heads. They're super close, but they work. Supposedly Fox Like Racing were the ones that did the heads. Okay, I've seen some of their parting stuff. They do a good job. I don't have an LS, so you can give that to me. Yeah, Nivlak 57, I think, is his YouTube channel. Here's her burning. Howdy, folks. The People's Convoy is camping at Sacramento Raceway. Cool to see. They're still drag racing. They're nice. So you're going to do that to the heads that I'm sending you to, JPL, also? There's no part number for this camshaft. It's a custom cam. And it's a solid roller, not a hydraulic. Matt, don't give the car to someone who has 15 custom cars. Does Calvin have 15 cars? That seems like a lot. This car could be running very quickly. It already has a trans in it. So if you just connect the motor to the trans and hook up the radiator and that stuff, it shouldn't be that hard. I'm only moving right around the corner, so it's not a big move. What do I have to do to win this thing? We will let you know. So let's see. 55% saying yes, give it to Calvin, and 45% saying no. So let's see. Let's go back a little bit here. Turbo Monza, what's up? 30 days sounds easy. Body shop solutions. If you're a real body shop and you're going to restore it, that would really be good video content to see it like go from where it is to something that's kind of nice. Because more than likely, if somebody does something to this, they're just going to put a motor in it and race it as a kind of ratty thing, which is also cool. Calvin has too many projects. Tim, I live in California near Antioch. I know where Antioch is. A town called Brentwood. What is the People's Convoy? Is that thing a big block cam? No, it's an LS cam. See, look. Look at that. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. LS cam. Wah. 184 and 152 is what I'm doing. Yeah, that's were the things that I think Turbo Monza was thinking of. This cam's going to be around 7,500 peak. It depends on what motor that you're putting in, but I would think it would be higher than that. LS Simple does great front bracketry for the LS engines. Tyler, how you guys always make my name red? Is it a color red? Stock is 180 and 1.5. Where's the 900 horsepower video? The next one to go up will be why I would pick different cams for 4.8s and 5.3s and 6.0s truck cams, and then 900 is coming right after that. Why are you in trouble, Tyler? We're going to get slammed with rain. Yeah, in a couple of hours. Put the delay on my swap. Yep. The People's Convoy is the truckers that went to DC. They went to DC and back? They've already come back to California? The 900 horsepower one will be good because it will have some, that's a fairly high horsepower NA number. Obviously easy to get with boost and even with nitrous, but the NA stuff starts getting pretty good at 900 horsepower. Silliness. So roller cam, and so the question, I guess I should have had this be the poll, is that a turbo cam? Is a 274, 286 a turbo cam? Well, it's got a 113, so it's going to idle nice, right? Probably not. What's next for the 8.1? There's a lot of testing still coming up with the 8.1. I have to do the intake manifold and a couple of cams for the NA stuff. And then maybe nitrous on the 8.1 also. Will it be a 496 at 900 horsepower? NA? No. That's harder to do. That's a lot of engine speed for that. Is there something going on at Sonoma this week? Dragon Show. I'll drive to California from Little Rock, Arkansas. That's where it is. That's a little bit of a drive. That cam scares me. It is big. I don't think I've ever run a 270-ish cam in a small block or an LS. I think 260s is kind of the biggest cam that I've run in a small block. I drive to California from my house. Getaway Performance, where are you at? Will that cam have piston valve clearance with a stock LQ4? Sure. It'll make its own clearance right through the piston. And drive it back to Missouri. So we're going to do the work to get it running to drive it back to Missouri. Edgar, you'll have it running this weekend. See, that's my kind of guy there. I wonder on 274. I'm trying to think where that would be for, because we had camshafts like in the 4.8. Even a 224 cam was 7,000. So I'm thinking that that's bigger than the 8,000 RPM cam that I ran, but we didn't make peak power near 8,000 though. It was only 250 something, I think. So maybe that's the kind of camshaft I was thinking when I first started talking about doing the 8,000 RPM hydraulic roller deal. Those are the kind of specs that I was thinking of. And then when I got the stuff from Brian and from Billy, the two different camshafts that we ran that ran to 8,000 RPM, neither one of them were as big as I thought they were going to be, or I thought that they needed to be. Would it matter what I put in the Nova? I've got a few small block Chevys. No, it doesn't matter at all. I'll have it running now. So we can't beat that. Unless you say I'll have it running 5 minutes ago. Huge turbo cam. Who is hoarding all the Rotella oil? That's the truckers, right? That use the Rotella stuff? This one will definitely have the chop. Cannon City, Colorado's checking in. When do you need it? Yesterday. Before yesterday. Vin's at the live show. Don't pick me because I can't make it to California. Yep, UPS yesterday air. That would be cool once they finally have time machines, right? Then they could go back in time and deliver it yesterday. Getaway Performance, nice. I've got a 305 HO with 88,000 miles, and a 350 with 150,000 easy swap with a 3-speed Saginaw. Yeah, it would just go right in. Rotella T6 doesn't exist anymore. That's because Matt was telling everybody to use it. I think that's why they had a run on it. Pick me. What are we picking? It doesn't matter. Everyone wants to be picked. This thing would be good with any kind of V8 in it. I mean, they use that drivetrain for the lower performance V8s in that motor. I mean, in that car. They also use it for the 6-cylinder, which is what that thing originally came with. That's clever, Dan. What do we want? Time travel? When do we want it? It's irrelevant. Do you get it? Because of time travel. Rotella is diesel oil, but it's also sloppy oil, right? Isn't it the turbo oil of choice for? It's a sloppy stage 2 oil. This cam's going to be around 7,500. Oh, that's what we did. We did that one. I was just checking back to see what was going on at the beginning here. Oh, Vice Grip Garage also recommends it. Now everyone wants Rotella and its dyno bones. I ran Rotella T6 and my Turbo 5.3. What weight is that stuff? It's the best cam oil now, yeah. Yeah, it is supposed to rain forever. Well, I don't know. Let's see what. Do I have my phone here? Yeah. We can check that. Check the weather app. Light rain stopping in 26 minutes. And then today and Thursday it's showing rain, 80% and 60%. But Friday it's showing partly cloudy and then sunny and sunny. 79, 83. I'm liking that. 82. All that looks good. Challenge: if the viewer who doesn't win in 30 days, you give it away to another viewer. That's what we were talking about before when I was talking about if they can't get it done, then it goes to the next guy in line. So if I pick like 4 or 5 guys, somebody's eventually going to get it done. How much compression and boost can run on 93? All of it. I have a vicious golden retriever watchdog barking at me, wanting to play fetch. That's what they do. That's their thing. That's how they lure you in. They're going to start saving and looking for a 4th gen Nova. They should be cheap. That's right. Just put some in an 05 Chrysler 2.7 Supernova. Ship you the Nova? Sure. Just put that in a if it fits, it ships. What are your thoughts on computer-controlled ignition without a knock sensor? I read somewhere how EFI said without one, it isn't worth it. Every aftermarket ECU has computer-controlled ignition, and I've been running. Whenever we run an EFI motor, it's always computer-controlled, and there's no knock sensors. We never run knock sensors on it, and it works really good. You have to know what value to put in there. I don't think that I would let knock sensors control it the way that some factory ECUs do. I don't think I would feel comfortable doing that. I didn't even like having when we ran the wired-less MSD ignition. It's no longer in a thing, but I remember running it in closed loop on a turbo motor, and I was not liking it very much. I would rather put the values in, because I know what I know they're supposed to be. But we just basically let the knock sensor run in closed loop and let it self-tune. And it actually did a fairly good job. We only ran 7 pounds, and we had good fuel in it, and didn't have a lot of timing in it. And so it did all the things that it was supposed to do. It actually did a fairly good job. Tyler, my buddy has a 4G63 Evo 4 with an Evo 8 motor, has intake and exhaust, and knocks 8.8 on 20 pounds. Is he trying to run it on 91 or something? And how much timing is he running, and what are the inlet temperatures and all the things that are going to affect that? Bill, your first car was a 78 Nova with a 6-cylinder, 3-speed, lots of fun in the car. A 4200 would be cool. It would be cool. A 4200, especially with a turbo on it, would look awesome in there. I don't know how well it packages though. Those things are pretty tall in addition to being long. 1 liter Chevy Sprint Turbo Nova. There you go. If you do a giveaway, I definitely do the work, Matt. If it comes with a 4.8 and a stock, it had the 3-speed's in it right now. The 4.8 is the motor that I'm thinking about giving with it. Knock sensor is just insurance. Yes, I agree. As long as you can, it's really nice. It works really well from the factory because they're able to control all of that. For us as an aftermarket thing on the engine dyno, it's a little more of a challenge. Every 3 cylinders is a turbo 3-cylinder. You're just throwing them off tonight, man. My twin charge setup 3800 would use a 38 tile, 44 tile, or 46 precision. I would use a good size wastegate. I think you'll have trouble with a 38. If the 46 will fit, you should use that. What's the most horsepower you've seen a 496 make NA? I don't know. I've never seen an application where a guy tried to make the most that they could out of the 496. I can't remember any of the things at West Tech where a guy, I think they have a 496 that's was in the low 800s, if I remember right. If you add lots of compression and a big camshaft and a tunnel ram and a dry sump and, all of the things, you can get that displacement to make a lot of power. I mean, it's not a 500-inch, pro stock motor by any means because it doesn't have the right bore size, but still you can make pretty big power from that displacement. Especially if you start talking about an altered valve angle head and stuff. A raffle would be cool. You should raffle off the Nova and use the money for future. I'm not really sure how to do that. And I don't know if that's as good as picking somebody. Maybe it is as just picking somebody randomly that doesn't cost them anything. And I'm not doing it as a money-making thing. I'm just kind of doing it to say thanks for guys. I like my first car game. Mine was 77 LeSabre with a 301 V8. Yeah, the shock colors work fairly well with the little fencing deal that goes, and then you keep them in a perimeter, and then after a while they just won't go near it. They learn. Can you talk about this cam some more? I don't know what else I can tell you. It's an LS. It's a solid roller. It's a 274, 286, mid 700s with a 1.7 rocker. Of course, if you go with more rocker than that, you can be even more lift. I've never run it. It's never been run that I know of. It doesn't look like that it's been run. It looks new. And, I'd like to see somebody run it and see what kind of power it makes. I like to take the shock collars off dogs and put them on the owners. My parents had one of those collars. I don't know if they ever used it on anything, but they had one, and a friend of mine put it on because he found it in the drawer, and he put it on because he wanted to see what it did. He put it on and then he barked. He's like, "That's not very much." She said, "Oh yeah, that's not even on one yet." So she turned it all the way up, and then he did it. And he went, he's like, "Oh," he goes, "Oh yeah, that would definitely get the job done." It was really, really funny. Would there be a problem with an Evo 600-pound Holley injectors or the Terminator X on a 5.3? Oh, running EV 600-pound Holley injectors with the Terminator X 5.3, 225, 239, 823 heads, start off at NA and later turbo to make 1,000 horsepower. No, those will work fine. all that combination will work and run. We've run 1500s on a 5.3. Yeah, it's 274 at 50, Dan. That's what I'm saying. It's a good size cam. No, not advertised duration. 274 at 50 and 286 at 50. They're what did I call them? Drag race rollers. What heads are with the 4.8 and will springs be set up to handle big cam? No, the 4.8 will be all stock. So then you can do whatever you want with it. Yeah, it was really funny, and the guy that did it, Jason, just is an awesome guy. The heads on the 4.8 are, I can't remember if they're 706s or 862s. They're one of the stock ones. Caleb, I would love to take your challenge and build a Nova into a L72 Yanko Nova, but in all honesty, I have two big block Camaros that need all of my attention. I understand that. And it doesn't even have to be like a clone. It just has to look like one, because it doesn't matter to me what engine you put in it. Anything is going to make it fast. My daughter shocked my son with a cattle prod. Those are pretty strong. That's pretty serious. It does. It sounds like the magical big block cam. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's almost as big as our super stocker cam. I'm not selling a 4.8. I was just going to give it away with the Nova. It's the one that had the broken. The camshaft was bad, and the lifter was bad, and the what happened was the lifter trays went bad, and then it had a bent valve. And I'm fixing all that and putting it back together and turning it into a running 4.8. Did you see the Engine Master's test on fuels? I did. Any idle drivability issues? Yeah, with this camshaft, there might be a slight idle problem. Cameron, you have a 92 Metro convertible. Does the Metro convertible have a 3-cylinder or a 4-cylinder in it? Oh, Dan, you want to know if there's idle or drivability issues with a 100cc or 1000cc 100-pound injectors? No, it should be fine. You should be able to tune those. I have a shop close to West Tech and recently had them tune my Chevelle. Would love to build the Nova and bring it by there for testing. That would be kind of cool. I don't want the Nova and the 4.8 if you're not going to include a GT45 turbo. So that's what makes the deal. That makes the deal for the free car. Hey Richard, they had the Holly Skyrim down at West Tech. Yeah, they did. I was talking to Brule about it today. Pretty interesting stuff. Stroker 408 LS twin 7875s with a 0.96 AR. Do you think it would have good response for the street? No, it's not going to have good response for the street. Looking for 1500 horsepower or so. Those two turbos are pretty big. A 408 is going to be better, obviously, than a 6-liter or a 5.3 or a 4.8. So they won't be, but you're still talking about 2,000 horsepower with the turbos or thereabouts, somewhere near that. So the response rate is not going to be as good as if you just had 1,000 horsepower worth of just one of those. RNS machine, Ish can even attest to my shop, has been there twice to help us out. So we'll write that down. See if Ish can't give me the 411. I'll be down to see him. If the car doesn't come with a signed board from the treehouse, I don't want it. See, that's good. There's plenty of boards out there I could sign. I also have a 4-inch carb spacer. I got bored and machined it on my CNC. I'm trying to think. I think Freiberger stacked a bunch of them before. I know that the Holly guys did that April Fool's last year with all of the nitrous plates, but I think Freiberger stacked a bunch of plates before. Casey, you want to put a 460 Ford in it? You got to sign the glove box like Shelby. Steve Robinson is the name. Okay, I'll talk to Ish. Hugh, my car weighs 4,200 pounds. I was thinking of Ellis swapping it, but I don't want to break loose at 60 when hitting past a year. My wife drives a car. Would you go with a 5.3 or a 6.0 NA? At 4,200 pounds, you could still use a 6.0. I mean, and if you put camshaft in it and then, push the power curve up a little higher. That would be cool. I'm framing the Killer Bee shirt. That's one of my favorite logos that we had. My brother has this one's a 72, I think, is what this Nova is. And the best thing, and maybe I could sign this, although it's already encased in plastic. I do have on the Nova, and this will go with the Nova. I have the original build sheet. It has stains on it because the car obviously was underwater, but I do have all the stuff. So that will obviously go with it. I do have a couple of Caleb. You have extra 69 ZL1 blocks. Who has those? Do you think that the solid roller can will meet my Trex 15 inches of vacuum? I don't even think it would do that on a hard D cell. That's a lot of vacuum. Maybe if you have a measure it 3 or 4 times, that it would add up to that. Getaway Performance would be my first channel car in the middle of filming our first videos. It's a whole learning experience. I'm still learning. I don't even have T-shirts. I don't have merchandise. I don't have what's the other thing? I don't have a Patreon account. Excuse me. I don't have any of that stuff. I'm learning.
Do you want a drink?
All right. Yeah. Always.
Okay.
Lovely, Lisa. That's like asking me if I want boost, right? Fix my hood for my hoodie. It'll meet the vacuum rule if it has an electric vacuum pump. That's right. I love the Sacramento Raceway because I won a trophy there. Awesome. I looked at the date on it, 1981. What? What's up? Yep. Mrs. H. Like the definition of 17 different kinds of awesome. Let's see how our poll is doing. Should the Nova be given to Calvin and his dad to swap in a Turbo 4200? We have 136 votes. The Turbo 4200 Atlas, and 61% are saying yes. That's right. Todd, what's up? And you'll be happy to know that the Nova has the U76 WS antenna. And the WS stands for what, people? The first one to tell me what WS stands for the antenna wins nothing. I'll just say your name out loud. How about that? The Omni is definitely the project card. That's staying. No, not power antenna. It's not WS. What does WS stand for? There was only 2 places that they put the antenna. The WS is one of them. I have an L92 block. I want to build a 383 windshield. Cameron, kiss. Say hi. Yay, leopard. She's wearing that leopard print. Windshield, windshield, windshield. Cheers. Cheers to windshield. Practical beverage. Best gal ever. She's very excited. Everyone's saying hello. Cheers. Yeah, windshield. Windshield impacted. The windshield is cracked. And it goes with the floorboards, which are also cracked. Maybe tomorrow night I'll post a photo of the Nova. Exactly, Dan. That makes it AM radio only. The windshield antenna was only good with an AM radio. Let's see. It has no radio in it right now. So, so let's see here. Might have been. Tinted glass, 3-point seatbelt, G92 308 axle ratio, and special wheels. So it was a kind of a base Nova. What I mean is stripped and race ready. Yeah, 308. I know you're jealous. Check the viewer count. You were 113 short. The antenna is built into the windshield. That's right. I'll do a turbo small block Chevy in the Nova, turbo Monza, stepping his game up, and I'll do it in 12 minutes. Are the floorboards cracked or rusted through? Rusted through. But only in 3 major spots. It needs floorboards. No, I like the 308. I had my Camaro, my 70 and a half, because if you talk to anybody that's a 70 Camaro, it's a 70 and a half. Split bumper RS with a 308 and a turbo 350. And it had a 2-barrel 350 in it. Does your wife know you're messing around with a 20-year-old bartender? She is all kinds of awesome. Do you think a supercharger or a turbo through a tunnel ram would improve the pressure effect? I don't know what I'm not sure what you mean by pressure effect on an engine. A tunnel ram will add power, NA, and Freiburg already did this on the big block that they ran for Engine Masters. They ran a 871 with all kinds of stuff, nitrous, and I don't know if they ran the 85 and all kinds of stuff. But one of the tests they did is they ran the 871 with the standard short runner blower manifold, the one that we see on all of these, 871, 671s, all of those on the big block. Then they took that blower manifold off and put a tunnel ram on. And the tunnel ram obviously makes more power than that short runner intake does, even with a blower. Yes, even with a blower. So when you put the blower on top of the tunnel ram, it makes a lot more power because the runner length in the tunnel ram makes more average power production. In fact, in this case, it made more power everywhere, all the way from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. Depends on which way you're looking at. So the supercharger with runner length, as we see, and a turbo does the same thing. The runner length makes more power, and it does that NA, and it does that with a supercharger, and it does that with a turbo. Guess what? It also does that with what? Say it with me. Nitrous. That's right. A good heavy floor mat or a stop sign what they had on there, somebody had just placed like, sheet metal or tin or whatever. It was not thick enough not to push through. They need something more substantial. I was just going to rivet something there, but it really needs floors. Yes, a Dodge Omni Turbo, 85. Does the Nova transform to a shiny, nice new one and pick up chicks? No, my chick does not want to ride in the Nova. Oh, Caleb, I definitely want to hear that story. I need to interview you then so you can tell that story. 4 of them turned out to be 052 ZL1 blocks. Wow. Those are kind of pricey. I know the guy at West Tech has some original, they're either L88 or ZL1 heads, and they're new in the box. On a New Age Mustang with an S trim and T56 is 410 too much gear for an all-around fun car? I already bought them. No, it'll be perfect because on a Vortec, you're going to have not very much boost down low, so you're going to want gearing to get the thing going. Can you lock the dog in the Nova or will it crawl at the rust holes? What I was really disappointed in is after taking because I locked I thought that I'd locked the keys in the trunk. As it turned out, the keys weren't in the trunk. And I didn't know that until after destroying the lock in the trunk. But that I couldn't get through the trunk through the, after taking the back seat out. I thought that there would be access through there, but there's not. There's big cross braces and stuff, and I couldn't get through there. I couldn't even reach through there to get the stuff where I thought that the key was, but it turned out not to be in there. And my dogs would love going for a ride in the Nova as long as they could stick their nose out the window. With a warm small block on a right-hand turn of 308 peg leg, you can fly wheel the right tire for about 2 or 3 blocks. That was the funnest thing. My parents owned a 77 Camaro that then went to my younger brother and then went to a friend of mine, and we raced it down at the La Carrera, the open road race down in Mexico, which was awesome. But before we did that, it had an open diff in it, and it had like a 273 gear or something in it. And naturally, we put nitrous on it. And then with an open diff and just turning that one tire, you could get a lot of wheel speed with laying into the nitrous, like right off the line. That thing would spin the tire basically as long as you wanted to. Yeah, you can Fred Flintstone the Nova. L88 heads had the little snowflake. Yeah, the Winter's Foundry. That's right. Derek from Vice Grip Garage. I like Derek's. I've never met him, but I really like that channel. Saul's all can fix the rear axis. That's right, very easily. I just didn't want to do that because it's going to be restored. Saul's all can fix the rear axis. The one thing I think that can be nice on this car is the trunk. I was going to repaint it with the trunk paint, but that didn't happen. Hugh, I have an 85 Omni with an NA 2.2. I'm going to try to run the NA intake manifold from 84, 85 because I also think that's going to make a really good turbo manifold. I just have to put injectors in it because it had that throttle body injection, which is not going to be good with a turbo. Although we would get charge cooling with that, but I just don't think that we can supply enough fuel with it. But I'm going to put injectors in it, and I think that and a bigger throttle body on it because I'm making the hole bigger, or just putting a plate over it. But that will be cool. And then if I put injectors in it, that manifold will certainly be better than the 85 manifold I have on the turbo motor. But I also have a 1-piece and a 2-piece to test on it, which will be cool. I wonder why the 4200 was so underrated and all of a sudden it's getting more attention. It makes good power. Are you going to put the S480 on the Omni? No, I'd have to borrow that. That belongs to David Freiberger, but I do have a T6 S475 that would just go right in there. I want to build another turbo Dodge. I've been talking to Nick Rutledge, and he has the he's doing a van, and he's already making 350 or so horsepower at the tire, so he's doing good. And he's already taken it out to the drag strip and done a bunch of chassis dyno stuff. And he ran it at a bunch of different boost levels and stuff. You know, that's all my kind of jams. We talked about it on one of the other live feeds, and it's really cool. And the van thing is really cool. I'd like to see a stick van, you know, a 5-speed one. Would be cool, but even with the automatic, as long as you get the automatic prepped, it would be, you know, they're pretty fast. And I think that the Hot Rod Garage guys, I think Lucky, I think they're doing one also. Put some piggyback injectors on it. Yeah, it still works, but it doesn't work when you're turning the boost up as well because the distribution becomes an issue. LS Swap Turbo Winnebago. Yep, that's good. What size is a solid roller? It is a 274, 286, and mid 700 lift on a 113. Meaning it's a stage 17 truck cam. I need to get David Vizard, if you're watching, get a hold of me. I need to find out what's going on with the 2.2 turbo head. Is there more porting that's going to happen with that, or what the deal is? I need to get a hold of David. Yeah, get the likes up. We got 123 and we only got 89 likes. We got 90 likes. We just jumped up. Yeah, 90. Now we're really talking. Get those likes up. Ooh, wait, I left some. Beverage. An 85 Daytona Turbo Z will blow your mind in the twisties. You know is really good is a 944, and a 944 turbo is really good. Do I have any personal project cars? I have the 85 Dodge Omni Turbo, which that's going to run, and I'm hoping it's going to run soon. But I have two motors for it. I have a 2.2 and a 2.5, and I've decided the 2.5 is going to get forged stuff, and it's going to be a little bit more of a concerted effort. I have a 71 240Z. I have an 88 5-liter Mustang. I have a bone stock 2002 Chevy Silverado. Good to the last drop. Exactly, Tom. And I need to run Tom's like blower deal too. Man, there's so much to do. 113 LS. Yeah, so it's only a 3/4 race cam or more like a 1316. So it needs to be like a 102 or something. Because you want to kill all that idle vacuum. I think it would be better for everyone to learn how to do things on a Nova versus someone who builds 4200 cars all the time. Where could I get valve springs and stuff for this cam? Comp has lots of stuff. A 243 spring would probably be right. I mean, it depends on what you're going to put it on. You're going to need, I have, that reminds me, I have solid roller valves and a spring setup because the valves needed to be longer to get more install height. And I think I have those valve springs. I don't know about for this camshaft. I need to see how much lift we could get away with. I've never run a cam with that much lift on an LS. I know I want to see the Mustang. I want date specific heads. These are 60. I don't know if they're, I'd have to ask them. I don't know if they're 67 or 68 L88s. I have to ask. No 298s with the 106. 106. Come on, 102. Richard, have you heard who will the new host be for Hot Rod Garage? No, I contacted Freiberger and told them that I would be interested in doing that. I think that I'm the right guy for that. Honestly, I have driving experience on lots and lots of different stuff. Obviously, engine knowledge. I think I'm fairly decent in behind the camera, but maybe not. I think I was kind of figuring you need some trick valve train. You will. You'll need shaft rockers for it because you're going to put enough valve spring in it for this kind of camshaft. You're going to need rockers like a shaft rocker setup or something. Richard knows everything because everything for hot rods happens in California. It's kind of where hot rodding started. I know that guys across the United States will argue that, but you can't because that's really true. And a lot of the trends start here and then go across. And unfortunately for a lot of people, a lot of the regulations start here and then migrate across the country, which is not good. Did you see Eric's video on circle track 2-barrel on the dyno? I didn't post anything, but I kept seeing been there, done that. I did not. I haven't seen that. Although I did, I don't know if Racer D is here. I did watch his video on running the 2-barrel on the built up the Dave Storling. And I've met Dave before because he did Engine Masters. I've met Dave before. He's a good guy. What is it? What's the 4-cylinder in the Fiero? The Iron Duke. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. The Iron Duke. He had a build up on an Iron Duke that they ran on the dyno, and I saw the power curves. So that was all good video. He was wondering why the 2-barrel wasn't working. I don't think it was a good intake manifold. Personally, I think it would be much better to do an EFI intake manifold. I would have done an adjustable deal with a throttle body and a common plenum and stuff rather than do that. And they probably maybe didn't want to run fuel injection. And I wouldn't have run a 2-barrel either. I would have run a 4-barrel on it. Richard, for Hot Rod Garage, make a petition. I think that would be cool. That would be good. I'm sure they've already made a decision on that. Richard, on a race motor, what would cause valve tulipping? Too much spring or too little spring? Tulipping is usually spring pressure, and the way that we did it is got the valve too hot, and you soften the metal on the valve, and then the spring pressure pulls the valve, and then that tulip shape happens. The valve smashing the seat uncontrolled, but most say otherwise. The Iron Duck. See, there you go. I told you I watched it. I did not see the Skyram running. I just saw the results of the Skyram running, but I can't talk about that until after they do their video, I think. But I will say it did make a lot of torque. Would you recommend speed density on an NA build? That's how we run all the motors that we run on the engine dyno. They're all speed density. When did you realize that you want to work with motors for a living on YouTube? Currently in college with no idea what to pursue. Well, if you might want to go and do a Google search on my name because I didn't decide to do this for YouTube. I've been doing this for 30 years. So I was doing it for the magazines way before any of this, way before YouTube was even a thing. So I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing for a really long time. I'm just doing it now in video form rather than doing it in print form. And that's a story that I went over before. It all kind of happened by accident. The intake was, Racer D, here we go. The intake was built to fit in a Fiero. That's why it was the way it was. If you look at it, it has multi-port fuel injection on it. I did not have my micro squirt running at the time of the dyno. Okay. I think that that would be a better option with that intake design. Put your finger across the screen in a wavy line is similar to your extendo intake. And I have some, adjustable intakes that I've made that create weird like sine wave power curves and some that didn't do that. So that's why we test. It's kind of an interesting deal. Did the Racer D, did the flange that you have for the 2-barrel, was that thing big enough to fit a 4-barrel on there? 2 more minutes. Almost autocorrect almost typed Kelly for me. I'm sure that that's supposed to be Cali, right? Going back to Cali. So we're going to close out our, so I'm going to obviously have to talk to Calvin. 65% saying yes, that it needs to go to Calvin for a 4200 swap. Building the iron 5.7 right now. Just finished flowing the ported Turbo Monza. John, thank you very much. Building the iron 5.7 right now. Just finished flowing the ported 706 hits and 2-inch valves. So did you flow those, Turbo Monza? You hadn't done that when we talked before. Richard, the comment you made about mixing main bearings made my day. Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, I was talking to my buddy Jimmy Hiddle from HP Performance fame about he's putting together a J35 for his NSX, and he's swapping over stuff from the J32 that he had. And we were talking about bearings, and we were talking about when you have bearings and you're taking something apart and then the bearing falls out of the saddle. So it falls out of either the rod cap or the rod, spins around the crank journal and falls. Sometimes it stays attached. It's just the oil adhesion basically is holding the bearing onto the journal. But we were wondering, when you put a new bearing in a saddle and you stick it in there, it has tension on it. And then sometimes after you run it, it doesn't have tension being held in there anymore. That doesn't mean it's going to spin or anything, but we're wondering what effect that has. And we're also wondering what caused that. Did detonation cause that? Did temperature cause that? Did just wear and, normal wear cause that? So we're postulating stuff. So it was a good conversation. Mixing main bearings is common with lots of race engines. And that's the other thing we were talking about. That's where I went off on this tangent, is because this was a Honda build, and anybody that knows anything about Hondas, and probably it's the other way, it's this way with other imports as well, is that they give you stamps on the block and then on the rod, for the rod journals and for the main journals, what bearing combination you use. So you put the things together and you get some sort of color bearing. This one needs a black, this one needs a pink, this one needs a red. Obviously, we don't do that on a lot of the race motors. We put all pinks in or all whatever. But after we measure it and we decide on what kind of bearing clearance we want, the factory typically, and I'm going not off of J series stuff, off of B series and D series stuff that I built a lot of, that the bearing clearances from the factory are fairly tight, and we normally loosen them up because they give you a bearing clearance tolerance in the factory manuals, because I had a factory manual for the Del Sol, which was the B16. And so you look at that, and then we decided, like when I'm building Bonneville motors and stuff like that are running at wide open throttle with 500 or 600 horsepower or whatever under boost, that obviously we want more clearance. And so we no longer went by the colored bearing chart that is stamped onto the crank and onto the block. Detonation can cause that. What we'll do is just bend the rod bearing back out by hand until the tension's back in. So we were wondering about that. Is it's just losing tension that holds it in the rod? But I don't know that anything bad happens when that happens. We were talking about whether or not we thought that made the bearing more likely to spin and stuff. And I don't know that that's really a problem. The problem is when the carb is not on center. No, the intake was built to run the iron dig TBI. That makes sense. Richard has diamonds, so we snicker out at the junkyard. The 4.8 is a pretty good example of that. Yeah, nothing bad happens. And that's what I was telling Jimmy is that, and I was only basing it on and then I've got to get going. I was only basing it on what I had done on the B series stuff because I built a lot of, built and rebuilt a lot of B series stuff when I was doing the testing for the books that I wrote, and also running in US Touring Car and Motorola Cup before that, and Bonneville, and Time Attack and all of that stuff. So I'd put together a lot of those motors, and we had never had any problems. And I remember the first one I built, I was there were strict adherence to this one has a green and this one has and then after you learn to measure it, and I was talking to Jimmy and I was telling him, you know what, one thing I never did, and it surprised me to this day that I think back and I'm like, why didn't I ever measure this? I never measured the difference in thickness between the different colored bearings, because the bearings had an actual green stripe on them, a black stripe, a pink stripe, a red stripe, whatever. I never measured the difference to see what that actually was. Was it like a tenth of a thou? Was it? I know there wasn't a half because they would never go in that kind of step. So I'm pretty sure they were tenths. So I never remember measuring them to see which ones we would actually use. Most of the guys I know just put pinks in them, and they were good with that. But I would have only done that based on whatever the dimensions of the journal that I was using, because like I said, we want them to be specifically between this range and this range, and our range was much narrower than the factory was, and our range was much looser than the factory was. Obviously, the same thing with if you take a look at the factory recommended ring gaps, they're nowhere near what we ran for obvious reasons, especially because we were running boosted motors and the B16 was a naturally aspirated deal. But I digress. What keeps the rod bearing from spinning is the crush, the amount that the bearing sticks up after each rod. Cameron, that's good. That's good to see that the Highway Patrol is still just giving you the wave by. Okay, guys, I got to get going. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you guys all for the help. And the next video that goes up is the truck cams, why I pick a different cam for a 4.8 and a 5.3 and the 6.0, and then the 900 horsepower big block stuff, and then down to West Tech and see what kind of trouble I can get into. Thank you guys all for showing up. I will see you all tomorrow.